And I think for me too, the biggest thing, especially with being a female athlete, is keeping things feminine, right?
Yeah, I was going to mention.
And it's yeah, it's one of those things where again, I'm not going to speak into what anyone else is doing. I support anybody's journey and what they choose to do with their
Sure.
body. But for me, it's always been extremely important to me for me to stay feminine in this sport. I think that there needs to be that glamour and that beauty and that grace, but you can still be feminine and have a strong physique, a
Yeah,
muscular
Hmm.
physique, right? So it's trying to have that fine line between crossing that.
right. You're doing very well. I think you
Thank you.
figured it out for yourself.
Yeah,
I
you look
appreciate that.
amazing. We're gonna go with Shelbi-Lynn.
You're going
Perfect.
with Shelby-lynn?
Choo-choo-choo-choo! Welcome.
All right. Welcome to Bodybuilders Amateur Hour, and we have Josh Thorne right here, and Caroline Mitten, and special guest Shelbi-lynn Piche. Did I get that right? I don't know.
Hi, guys. Yep, absolutely.
Haha, yes. First time.
Nailed it.
Nice. Awesome. Good. It's like, yeah, it wasn't that difficult, but I'm horrible with like names.
I'm horrible
Yeah,
at remembering them.
Names are a no for me.
I don't know. Just do a little host cleaning, cleaning the host. I gotta just say a couple things. um, So yeah, bodybuilding's amateur hour. We're here. We love supporting amateur bodybuilding and having pros on, talking about their amateur years, and we just really try to get out all the amateurs and information to everybody to help everyone progress in their bodybuilding and fitness journey. So welcome, Shelby, and I know
Thank you.
from your Instagram, you're going to have a lot of great information to share with everybody, and we're all looking
Absolutely.
forward to it. And
Thanks. I
yeah,
look forward to it too.
fantastic.
Yeah, and you're gonna wanna hit the bell button to get some more information for some more pros coming up. All
Yeah,
that.
Hmm.
that's right. Make sure you, yep, hit the bell button, like Caroline said, and like, subscribe, and share this too. We want the information to get out there. We want everyone to be aware and to help. Every little bit helps, and every little share and subscribe helps get this information out to everybody that needs it, and everyone that's upcoming bodybuilders, bikini, figure, physique, everyone. All the information is here, and we're just trying to make it available. So, again, welcome, Shelby, and let's just get right into this. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm pretty tired right now, but we'll get through this and then we'll get through the workout and we'll be able to rest after that.
Heck yeah. Um,
Nice.
so let's just get right into you right away. We don't want to keep you too long.
Okay.
Um, so if you want to briefly explain, like, where you are, what you're doing, and why you're so tired, and then also some information about your past and like where you're coming from and how you got to where you are.
Perfect. Well, right now I'm sitting at about 2.5 weeks out from North Americans. We're just under three
Amazing.
weeks out. Yeah, I've been in prep
Ooh.
since March. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, I prepped
That's a
initially
long
for the
prep.
Vancouver. It's a very long prep. That wasn't the intention.
Hmm.
We had intended on doing the Vancouver Open, and then I was hoping to get into the States. Recognized I also needed to qualify at the Pro Qualifier, so I did that the week later on the 15th of July. And then from there, yeah, we're prepping into Pittsburgh. So really excited for that. I've never competed in the NPC. So I'm
It's
really
a lot of
looking
fun.
forward to connecting. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to connecting with a lot of the athletes from, other locations and across Canada. I mean, I meet a lot of them from across Canada when I do the other qualifiers, but yeah, this will be new territory for me. I've never really traveled into the States, let alone by myself. So I'm
Oh,
excited.
exciting.
Oh my gosh. By myself, that'd be nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
I'll be getting there and I'll be able to, have my coaches there with me, which I think is going to be huge.
mhm.
And I have a couple
Oh,
Oh,
that'll be
clients.
good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I have a client that's going to drive up from New Jersey and watch me as well, so that'll be nice.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, having
Nice.
a coach there is going to be a world of a difference.
big
It's
time.
so much better
And you got
when
that
they're not.
support.
Yeah, when you have the
Yeah, well,
support.
You got that support coming up.
I've been working with this team since June or July of 2021.
Okay, what
So
team
they've
is
put me
that?
through Team USA Physique.
Nice.
So it's Chet and
Yeah.
Natalie Nichols.
Okay.
And they're a
Yeah.
lovely team. So I've been with them since that term. They prepped me for the Van Pro Qualifier in 2021, and then the Van Open in July, and the Van Pro Qualifier in July, and now North American. So it's been a couple years, off season, in season. Phenomenal team. I absolutely adore them.
Holy smokes! So you've been quite busy the past few years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On a mission, I guess you could say.
Oh, you can really, yeah, you can
Getting
definitely
those
really,
shows in.
for sure. So I really like to go back to the beginning, if that's
Mhm.
okay with you,
Of
and
course.
kind of go back to like almost day one, where like um, what got you into the sport, and where did you start?
So initially, like I mean, I did sports as a child. I was a gymnast, I was a dancer, I played a lot of soccer, volleyball, basketball in school. After high school, I didn't really do too much. I became a mom at 22. And so for me, getting into health and fitness was a way for me to kind of have a separate identity from being a mother of twins and being
Oh
at
wow,
home,
okay,
being at home all the time with them climbing all over me and trying to do workouts there. It was difficult, right? Because you're at home already, or I would go to work and I would come home and then they would just climb all over me. So, as much as I love them, as much as I have
right.
a great relationship with them, and it allowed me an avenue to kind of just get out of the house and have some solo time by myself. But initially, I got into it in about 2013, 2014, is when I started going to a gym on the regular. Definitely was not bodybuilding or doing anything of the like. I was probably doing more of your showgirl workouts,
Uh,
the abs, a lot of cardio.
I was just say, yeah, where you just sitting in the circuit and doing the cardio and be like, okay,
Yeah,
and that's it.
yeah, exactly. And you're like,
Yeah.
abs too, gotta have that. So I did a lot of that. Wasn't really eating for that aspect of the sport because I got out of the house. I was also just in a marriage that I was not happy in. I didn't feel like I was being supported. I didn't really have the confidence to push myself through anything.
Oh, for sure.
So for me, it kind of allowed me that avenue, right? That channel to go and work on me, where I was
Yeah.
out of the house and where I felt like I had somewhere to be, that I was able to do something for me, right? Outside of just going to the grocery store or going for a walk, or I
Right.
used to run, to kind of deal with the headspace that I was in. So this kind of allowed me that other avenue. I then left my husband, and then I had started dating somebody who was actually bodybuilding. And so for me, because I was going
Interesting.
to the gym
Okay.
with that person at that point in
Right.
time, being the person that I am, I'm very hard-headed and stubborn. So he would load these 45s onto the machine.
Right.
I was like, I mean, I could pick them off and, put on lighter weights, but why would I do that?
Right.
I'm just going to try and push it, right? To an extent, if I couldn't
Yeah.
push it, obviously I'm going to take the weights off. But
Right.
so I kind of started doing that. And I noticed that, I was a lot stronger than I actually had anticipated.
That's so great.
Genetically.
Most,
Yeah,
Everyone always
genetic.
underestimates himself at the
I
beginning.
know.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Oh, yeah.
everyone is so much stronger than they think, and
Yeah.
I've come to learn that over the years, just watching people train, and then like, hey, why don't you just throw in another
Try.
plate, throw in another 25, like you just did the exact same thing. Let's just put on another one, and like
Yeah,
it blows their mind, and like
it does. And
yeah.
it's interesting to train with somebody who has that initial doubt in their mind too,
Mm-hmm.
because you do that. Like you said, you toss on more weight and you're like, let's just try it. Let's just try. And initially they're looking at you like, I can't do that. And then they push it and they're like, it's nice to see them kind of exude that confidence after they
Right.
do it.
Yeah.
You're like, there's that growth.
Yeah. There's like there it is. It like not just the physical, right, but like the internal and the mental. Just I was like,
It doesn't
holy, yeah,
it doesn't take long for you to like look back on the last like 3 to 6 months and just be like, wow, geez, look at the weight I'm loading on here compared to what I was just doing 3 to 6 months ago. It's almost
Yeah, and then you
unbelievable. You're
apply.
like, Jesus.
Yeah,
All
and then when you
right.
can apply the knowledge to it, right, you grow
Right.
even more. So he was prepping for a bodybuilding show, and I went and watched that show. So that was the first show I ever had watched, and it was the Night of Champions in
That's a good show.
2016, I believe.
Okay.
And so I then hired Tamara Knight as my coach because I was like,
Oh,
I loved the way she ran the show. I loved, meeting her and everything about it. And she gave me a lot of information because I'd reached out to the show promoter to just be like, hey, I'm interested in trying this. Like, do you have any tips for coaches? I've never had a coach. And she had said, I do coaching. So,
okay.
let's
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually hired her late 2016, I believe, and started prepping or doing an off season and gearing up to start a prep. I think I started that one March, June, July, August, September. I think like end of May, beginning of June of 2017. I prepped for my first show. So I did the Night of
So
Champions.
can we just a little step back for a sec, if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course.
What when you're like, I loved how you're like, you you said I loved how she ran the show, and you watched the person you were dating at the time go through a bodybuilding show. Like that's still like doing it. Competing is so there's so much to it, and it's so could be potentially so difficult. Where
Yep.
in that spot where you're just like, I want to do this. I think I can do this. I think I have the body to step on stage. Like, where did that
I
confidence come from, or where did that, you know?
It was a
Because I was,
combination of things. Yeah, I think it was a combination of things. It was like, for me, in my mindset, I knew that I had the strength and I knew that I had the power to not only lift the weights, like I didn't obviously understand what a cut was or what a diet like down was in that capacity or how difficult it might be. I'm always up for a challenge. I think that's just who I am as an individual. The more challenging something is, the more I'm like, I want to try it, right?
right.
But
Like
um,
Caroline's
I
pretty
think,
much like that.
Th-
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I'm just like, I want to try this, but I'm not just gonna try it. I'm going all in on
I
it.
want to be the best at it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it was a
Yeah,
combination of that and just being like, okay, I've been training now. At that point in time, I had been, I guess, bodybuilding or lifting properly, probably for the last 2 years prior to that.
Okay,
And being
nice.
that
That's
at
a
that
good
time I was
time
around
frame.
31, I was like, oh, this gives me a great opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to, step out of my comfort zone, try something new that I've never tried before, which was funny because the years prior I had even said, there's no way that you could ever get me to do something like this
Stand on
because,
stage in like a bikini and heels. Like,
yeah,
this
well,
sounds
I'd be
horrible.
judged, right?
that would have
And
been me
be
like 2 years ago.
right and be
Yeah.
like be picked apart
Couldn't
every little bit
imagine.
of you. I was like,
Yeah.
who wants
But
to
I
do
think it
that?
came from the competitive nature in me, right? I was always doing competitive sports as a child. I did track and field as well. So for me, it was like, I'm just curious. So for me, it was like a let's try this, like let's dip our feet in the water, see if we like it, see what it's about, you know? And I fell in love with a little bit of the process. Obviously, you do your first prep and you're like, there's so many things that you don't expect or that you are like, this is easy, but this capacity of it is really difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the toughest thing,
Yeah,
and I'm sure everyone would agree, is the food, right? It's not the training, it's not, how tired we are or how sore we might be or anything else. It's typically the food, right? It's the mental
yeah,
capacity and
It's
yeah.
the men.
so I think for me that's always been the most challenging, but yeah, so that's kind of what led me to that was I need an end goal
Mm-hmm.
to see if this is something that I'm even interested in or that I can and that I'm capable of, right?
Right. That's where I'm at right now, actually. I'm kind of right in that same limbo area where I've just done one show. So I'm going to
Mhm.
start my next bulk in really just a few weeks, actually, probably say 2 to 3 weeks. I'll be starting that whole experience and what it's like to put some muscle on and then get
Yeah,
ready for another show next year.
You're gonna be a
that's
freak.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm really quite
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, it's fun, right? So I got hooked. I did that
Hmm.
show 2017, first and overall in that show.
Like
Walked
so,
onto that one.
your first show took first place in your class, and then took the overall.
Did.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
She, there it is. Yeah, Caroline.
You did
Yeah,
it too? Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of cleaned up. Really, yeah, it was great. I
Good
put
feeling.
110% into it, and I get to really enjoy the rewards of that. That's why I'm ready to give another 110%. I'm super curious, especially I'm going to compete with a different federation, I think,
Yeah.
next year
Yes.
to give myself some more competition. I'd like to have a little bit
Mhm.
more competition. That would be, you know,
You'll be fine.
par with me. I'm curious.
Mhm.
Let's see. Yeah, he says it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm we'll see when I walk on stage. That's I won't I'll be training and thinking and focusing up until that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I'm the same. The more up there, the better. I'm the kind of individual that's and because regional shows for me, I do them. I love them. I have nothing bad to say about them, but I love competing at that higher level. I'm
Hmm.
like, bring me the giants, bring me the big ones. I want to be standing next to them. Like, put me next to somebody that's like on a stage competing as a professional. I want to see how I stack up against them, right?
Right.
So that's the goal here is ultimately to become a professional bodybuilder, to be able to stand up there with the pros, to eventually make it to the Olympia, but I just appreciate sharing the stage with so many phenomenal athletes. Like that's what I go for. It's the connectivity. Who doesn't like putting on heels and dressing up and like getting your hair done and your makeup done as the esthetician looks at me, she's like, yeah, you get
Oh
it.
yeah, it's the whole thing when I was there with the show. It was just like this is fucking great. You feel great, you look great because they prep you really good for the stage, and you're like I'm about to go show it all off. Hopefully you don't get
Feel
stage
like a
fright.
million
That would be
bucks.
the only thing. Yeah, but
No.
I'm here to
Yeah,
go.
no.
No,
Yeah.
bring it on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I
Yeah,
remember that first show too, and I remember standing backstage and seeing a girl. You know, you always see that one that's kind of like just bouncing around, really nervous. And I remember
right.
just kind of like looking at her, and I said to her, "Is this your first show?" And she said, "No, it's my fourth or fifth. I can't remember what she said." And I said, "Oh," and she goes, "Is this your first show?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "The first one's always really nerve-wracking." And I said, I feel pretty comfortable. And I think for me, that was
right.
because I also performed on stage as a dancer as a child. So
That would
for
help.
Yeah,
me, I love the stage. I love to perform, right? I love that's where my personality comes out the most. I can stand and lift weights in the gym all day, but when I
right.
have that opportunity to like showcase my personality along with my physique, like game
Oh.
over. I love it.
It's,
Wow. I feel like this interview is sound it's this interview sounds similar to my interview.
yeah,
It's
for
just
it's like,
there's just so many interesting points. Yours is a lot more exciting because you've gone really far and done really well. So
Thank
it's
you.
super exciting.
It's just consistency, and I'm sure
right,
you will as well.
right.
If it's something that you're
Hmm.
passionate about, and this is things that I try to instill with my kids. If it's something that you're passionate about, even if you don't succeed 100%, it's the consistency and the determination and going back that's going to eventually get you there.
Yeah,
Yep,
just
100%.
that's just like training off season too, right? Just consistency training. You gotta just gotta keep going back at it. It's
Hmm.
like or competing. It's all the same.
All the same.
Yeah. So
Just do it and enjoy it. Kind of the time just kind of will trickle by without you even
Mhm.
realizing it.
right.
Yeah, and I'm sure
Uh,
you've experienced it too when you finish, then you have your post-show blues and you're like, now what?
yeah.
So then you have to immerse yourself in your off season. You're like, when I have a plan, right? Then it's
As
easier to execute
Yep.
it. But when you kind of come out of it and you're like, now what?
that's like exactly
Oh,
we were talking.
luckily I gave myself a little too much to do on my I gave myself a little too much to do, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking
Oh
to
yeah.
Andrea Shaw there the other week,
Hmm.
three-time Miss Olympia, and she said the
Yeah.
exact same thing. Make sure you have to have a plan. You have to go into prep with a plan. You have to go into off season with a plan,
Hmm.
or those blues do catch up to you, right? So,
Big time.
or you just go off track and it's really hard to get back on,
Yes, it is.
right?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's
we've
a
all
tough
had
one.
those moments too. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we mentioned to the viewers what division are you competing in?
I
I don't.
compete in figure, and I
Yeah.
have been a figure athlete from the get-go. I get a lot of questions actually when I go out. Um, I've had a lot of people ask me if I do wellness. I've had a lot of people ask me if I do physique. I've
Right.
had a couple people ask me if I do bikini, but I think those are more the people that don't really understand the whole
Yeah.
league, like
As soon as they,
the gist of
Right.
it.
yeah,
They
I'm
just
sure.
automatically assume if
I
you compete,
don't.
you're a bikini athlete.
Yeah, yeah, they're very, very different looks.
Very.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, I tell everybody, I just put all my eggs in one basket. I know what I want to be. So I'm not going to, it's you, I support people who choose to go, multiple routes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you want to be a top athlete, in my opinion, figure is different from bikini, is different from wellness, is different from physique. They all require different things when it comes to judging.
Oh,
So
yeah.
these crossovers, like that's why I've never really deviated from figure because my shape is figure. I want to build into figure more, right?
Yeah, like that's something I find really interesting, where you have a figure competitor, cool. Then she goes
Hmm.
and competes in bikini. It happens, and
Hmm.
then she does really well in both categories. I was like,
Hmm.
I don't. I know the federations, all of them. They do the crossovers in the amateur level,
Yep,
but that happens, and it just boggles my mind sometimes, where I've seen a figure competitor do well in both categories, and when they do not fit one of them,
exactly. And so
and
it's
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 like,
almost like there's not a specific judging standard,
yes,
right? And so that's another thing that we struggle with is we train and we can do everything that we need to do in order to prepare for a show, but there's so many other variables that we have to consider as well.
right, yeah, for sure,
Yeah. Especially when you're wanting to pick one for yourself. It is when I was doing figure, I felt like I should have potentially could have done bikini. I wouldn't have crossed over at all, but
Mhm.
yeah, no, I'm
your
gonna definitely
shoulders and
stick
your
with
lats are too nice for a bikini.
yeah, I wouldn't. We wouldn't want to hide those.
No,
No, right.
no.
So like, yeah, you like some people can definitely hurt themselves too if they kind of go in the wrong category. Then I think the training becomes a little
That would
slightly
be a
different
little
as well,
unfair.
right?
Yeah.
And then some men and women will definitely can like kind of stunt their potential if they get put into the wrong one or feel like more comfortable into one particular one.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, I think too, if you can embody the division that you're in, if you really feel like you are that athlete,
yeah,
right? If I thought I was a wellness athlete, if I thought I was a bikini athlete and I trained for that, I'm sure I could be capable of it. I'd have to lose quite a bit of muscle to be bikini
oh
at this
yeah,
point.
oh goodness, yeah,
Yeah,
Or I'd have to build my legs and cut my waist down even more in order to be wellness or,
right,
work on my posing in that capacity because I do have the ability to make my waist look smaller. But I'm a very prexy individual, right? So everything is created through illusion from creating the lats, creating the shoulders, building, that shape into the legs and that symmetry. And symmetry is something I'm huge on, especially when
yeah,
it comes to bodybuilding. It's sculpting, right? So
right,
for me,
exactly.
when I think of bodybuilding, I think of like the gladiators and the Colosseum, and that's what I want to aspire to be. I always tell people I'm just out here trying to be an action figure. That's it.
I love it.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't
Next
make
GI
action
Jane.
figures all like lopsided and one
You're
arm's bigger
there.
than the
No,
other and one lat's a little
no.
different. Yeah. So,
I mean, we always have that one like lucky fin every once in a while when you bung something up, but
oh, yeah. But,
Yeah, trying to keep things even is a it's a talent to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and see that stuff.
Mhm. Or to even just have that proper muscle engagement and that mind to muscle connection to feel it in
Yeah,
both
so,
areas.
do you remember how
true.
long it took you to develop that? I know that is one of the, for me, that is one of the hardest things to explain to clients and friends and just is like, it's like almost trying to explain a color,
Yep.
right? It's like just feel your lats. Come on, why can't you just when you're doing a lat pull down, can you just feel it? You're like
Yeah.
some people can't, or a lot of people
Yeah.
can't.
A
So
Yeah,
lot of
that's
do
I'd
people
say a lot of
actually.
people.
So, would
Yeah,
you
I
have
work with a lot
any
of
ideas and
clients.
tricks for people?
Ideas and tricks. I mean, my back I always really easily connect with. It's just always been a thing. I don't
We'll
know
pull some
why.
pictures of you. We'll pull some pictures of you up later, and people will
Yeah,
understand.
of course. Yeah, of course. But I think when it comes to that connection, it's grounding yourself and understanding first what the exercise is targeting, right? And then moving through those like going through the movement until you can connect with that area of your body, whether you're holding on to it, right? When it comes to your posing, I'll usually tell somebody there's a couple different ways that I'll go about doing it. But I'll usually try to tell people, like, I don't know if you remember, you might, I'm not too sure how old you are, Caroline, but I'm 37, right? When we were younger, we used to stand in doorways and like push our arms against the
Uh,
side. Do you
yeah,
remember this?
and
Okay.
your
And
arms
Yeah,
then
I
float
do,
you
up.
I
walk
do, I
out and
do.
your arms are
Yeah, and then
like,
they
they
feel
just
like
kind of,
they're raising.
okay,
Yeah.
they float up. Yeah. So I always tell people like, it's kind of like that feeling. You just have to allow your arms to kind of just float up, right? But it's also kind of like shifting your shoulder, pulling in some areas, pushing in some areas. When it comes to trying to explain it when I was teaching classes, and I try to explain, a single arm pull down, I'm trying to explain to somebody like, imagine you have an orange here and you're trying to squeeze that orange, right? You're not just going to be able to pull that arm in. You also have to be able to push your back out a little bit to kind of like create that squeeze mentality through the armpit.
I'm like sitting here
Um,
doing it while you're telling me,
Mhm.
yeah,
like, oh
well,
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
gonna be getting
right.
that orange out. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it's always just been something that I've easily connected with where I lacked. And I think this came from having had children, having a weaker core, having issues with my core and then my glutes, right? Because I've sat in desks most of my jobs. So I had, shorter or tighter hip flexors. I had a pelvic tilt because I was a gymnast for years. So when I was a
all right,
child and
yep,
constantly landing, doing your arched
right,
back, so it's having to learn how to like retrain your body to shift into the proper positions. So I work with a lot of my clients on things like that when it comes to, even just understanding where you should be feeling something in a deadlift or when you are hip thrusting, how like where your positioning should be and like little tips and tricks to do things like that. Like, when you're standing, shifting out on your legs and kind of pulling in and up, right? So it does take that time, but I would say what helped me was understanding the movements that I was doing, right? So either
okay,
if I didn't understand, going and searching for that information as to what it was connected to, or going through the courses that I went through so that I can now help my clients. But you have to kind of be curious about it, right? It's not just going in the gym and doing something. If you have a goal and you want to be able to progress on it, you need to understand every single part
right,
of that goal, right? So you need to understand that mind to muscle connection. You need to understand progressive overload. You need to understand a proper training split, volume training versus not, and where you're trying to grow, putting more volume into those areas.
yeah, well said.
I always looked up muscle anatomy when I was
Hmm.
curious about different things. Also,
Hmm.
where I do aesthetics, I did a lot of massage. Like I find when you know like the origin and insertion, you know which direction it's going to be expanding and then contracting in and what it's all attached to. And
That's very
I found
important.
that
Yep.
helped a lot. Yeah, just sitting down, looking at your phone, looking at the anatomy of the muscles. It's kind of
Hmm.
interesting, actually.
Well, and then also understanding everybody's physique is a little bit different. So somebody might feel it differently, right? Or connect with
Hmm.
it differently than the average person. You'll notice that forms are not always going to be the same on each
Oh,
person.
yep.
What works for one might not work for another, right? So it's finding what works for you, even though it might be slightly different than what the person next to you might be doing.
Yeah, and that's
Mm.
why kind of what annoys me a little bit when people are grabbing training programs offline or YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, I this is Jay Cutler's training program. This is what I've been doing." I'm like, that doesn't mean it's gonna work, man.
No.
Or like this is Dana Lynn Bailey's. This is how she trains her shoulders. My shoulders are gonna look like this in a couple months. Like, no, no,
Well, and that's why
probably
too, like,
not.
yeah, I'll get a lot of questions through Instagram about, nutrition or cycles, like how much are you eating? What are you taking? All these
Right,
things. And I just explain to them, like, I'm happy to discuss that, but at the end of the day, it's really not going to be of use to you.
right,
So
exactly.
I will talk to you about nutrition, and I can tell you what I eat, but the amounts are going to be irrelevant, right?
Yep, for
And
sure.
it's the same with what I would use. The
Yep.
amounts are going to be irrelevant because I'm not going to be, maybe needing to use as much as the next person, but obviously we're doing competitive bodybuilding.
Right.
So
Yeah, for sure. Is that something that you are free to talk about?
yeah, I mean, I can definitely talk about it. I'm a little bit more tight-lipped just based on the career that I'm trying to get into,
Yep.
but
Okay. Well, all right. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really want. We can put you in a weird spot, but
well,
it's already happened. We're there.
yeah, no, exactly. No shame there. Like I mean, I'm not doing anything in that capacity that's illegal. I'm not selling it. I'm not taking large doses. I'm not doing any of that. So, yeah, I mean, I can still discuss that.
All right. Yeah. So this is a again this is like a really hot topic, obviously, and
Mhm.
everyone thinks there's some sort of magic pill and secret thing behind all of this nonsense, and the
Mhm.
more you do, the bigger you get, right? And
False.
which is completely false. But no
Yeah.
matter how many times we say this and pros say this, and it just doesn't really seem to stick to people, or they think we're all
No.
lying. You're a liar.
Yeah.
I'm a liar. It's just like you won't tell me.
Yeah.
So, I'm going all over the place. Um, okay, so your first show,
Mhm.
Natty or not?
Natty.
Nice, and you won everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was 31 at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, 31 at the time, 100% natty, and I know I was definitely on stage with girls who were not.
Oh, for sure.
So I
So,
like to use that, and I preface that with any athlete that I've ever worked with or any other athlete that comes to me prior to competing and they ask me, I always tell them
yeah,
it can be done. It
for
can be
sure.
done. If you train properly, if you have, like in my case, I do have strong genetics when it comes to, muscle stamina, O2 levels. There's numerous things that I have. I've done DNA salivary testing through a company I was
Oh,
affiliated with.
cool.
Yeah. So
That's
being
neat.
able
That's
to
a, that is pretty
know
cool.
know those things is easier for me to kind of explain that to individuals. My dad was a top gymnast in BC when he was younger. He was a cadet. He had a lot of strength. He was very athletic. He's not now. Unfortunately, he suffers from a few health ailments, and that's another story. But yeah,
Hmm.
I think it can be done, and I like to encourage people to go the route of being natural first, unless you have a very lofty goal like what I have.
Right.
There's no point in, just dabbling in it just because you want better results. If you want better results, eat and train properly.
Yeah. If you want to look
That's
good at the
that's kind of my stance on it for sure.
right.
I always say like because I don't I'm gonna be just doing it all natural because I don't
Yeah.
know if my goals reach your goals. And that's what I was saying. I was like, you know what? I feel like if my goals were bigger and I had a way like longer road ahead of me with some much larger shows, I definitely feel like that's something that I mean, I wouldn't consider, but if I was doing that, I definitely would be something that I probably should consider uh,
Mhm.
when I'm looking at the types of shows that I'm going to be doing.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, for me it
Yeah.
was going from a regional show right into a national show. And so, well,
Hmm.
I mean, not right into it. I took a year. But just kind of being able to build into that because I knew that I needed to put on a little bit of size. So that allowed me that capacity, and I did that for that year as well. Post that show, so 2018, I did the Van Pro, and I placed fifth out of 10 girls. So that was my first national show.
That's crazy.
And I
That's a
was,
hard
Nice.
yeah,
show.
yeah, and I was like,
That is a big
okay, all
show.
right, we'll keep going, right? So it compiles. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
it's something that I'm good at. Why would I quit? So I did 2019 Van Pro as well, and I placed first there too. Um,
Okay.
Nice.
so for me, it was like a no-brainer. It's like I'm going to keep going
Right.
back until I achieve the big goal, which, now that
Of
I've made the
course.
big goal of becoming a professional, now the big goal is I want to be on the Olympia stage, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter before I get there. But did 2019, I let, at that point in time, well, I guess 2017 on, I was dating somebody else and I was actually engaged for a while there. Still love the man. He's a phenomenal human.
Oh, that's
But
really nice to hear. That's
he coached me
okay.
in 2019, and that's when we took home that first. And then at that point in time, he was like, as much as I would love to be, able to make you a pro. I think that if you have a bigger goal here, then you need to hire a coach that works with that kind of caliber of
Right.
athletes. And so it was funny because when I
That's
won
really
that,
smart. Really big of them. Yeah.
yeah, it
Hmm.
was. And I had met another girl at that show. She's the one that actually took her pro card at that show, Bailey Breedlove. She's from Ohio and
Nice.
phenomenal athlete. So I had reached out to her because her and I were chatting a lot through social media at that point in time. And I just said to her, "Hey, does your coach athletes in Canada?" Because she had switched coaches at that point in time to work with Team USA Physique. I don't remember who she was with prior to. And I just loved seeing all of her updates and all of the results she was getting. I was like, holy, like, I need to be on this team. And so I set up a call with Chet and Natalie and just kind of explained to them what my goals were. And I think they could, sense the determination that I have. They
Okay.
knew that I was a strong athlete. They knew that I was disciplined. They knew, that I have that drive. So it was easy for them, even though they didn't really have spots on their team. They opened up a spot for me on their team because I'm an easy athlete.
Right.
I'm
You're
very,
not
you give me what I need and I can go do it. I might have a question in every month, but I will
right.
send you my
I love it.
check-ins. You tell me what I need to do and I go from there. Right.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
excellent. That's the
from
kind of client you got to
there,
be.
yeah. So from there, I hired them and I did the Van Pro show in 2021 with the hopes of, again, going for my pro card. I did Open and Masters that year because I was eligible for Masters at that point in
2020.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so at that point in time, what ended up happening was I took second in Open and second in Masters,
Wow.
which
Okay.
was good, but was also obviously heartbreaking when you go for that big goal.
Yeah.
And it was eye-opening for me. I think the best thing for me at that point was that I recognized, first of all, it was the first show that my kids got to watch me do, which
Oh,
was
that's huge. That's so nice.
so cool. They were, I guess, 2023, so they would have been 13 at the time, or 14, 13, turning
Nice.
14. Yeah, so I took them down. They got to watch me, and I said to them, I think the most important thing was that they got to see me win, right? Took home
Yeah.
second place. But they
100%.
also got to see me lose, right? Because I didn't get my pro card.
Right.
So they also got to see,
Right.
yes, you were happy about the wins, but we were also upset, obviously, not having won the pro card when that's what you go for. But seeing me and just that discipline and that determination to get up and keep going towards
Right.
that goal,
Teaching.
right? So
Yeah.
they've
Teaching them
been watching me do this for 27.
how to take that. How to
You were saying
lose
that at the
properly.
beginning.
And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So and
You're
then
basically
just
giving
having
your
done my
kids a
first show,
lesson, and yeah, you gave your kids a lesson, and you're pretty much
trying
living
to.
through your own lesson. You're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then I keep just reminding them, I'm like, how cool would it be to have a mom that's a professional athlete?
Yeah.
Like,
That's.
I like to remind
Hmm.
them that, there are some of us out there, but I'm not like other moms.
Oh, not even close. All
No.
No.
right. What time is it on here? You guys keep chatting for a second. I'm gonna try to fix my color. I'm a weird shade, but
A little bit blue over there.
yeah, it's weird. I don't
I've
know.
got terrible lighting with mine overtopped. Anyways,
I only
yeah,
have
figures.
natural lighting.
Here we go. No, the natural lighting's the way to go, but the sun's going down where I'm at. The
I don't know
sun's
why I'm so
gone
blue.
almost, pert near.
No, it's still
That's
brightly
awesome.
shining through all of my windows over there.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Gotta love that. I love that. I have sun coming in my house at all times, unless the
I
sun's
think,
going down, of course.
yeah, I
Oh
have like a
yeah, it makes you feel like a million bucks in the
central.
morning.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I have a very nice like 580 square foot balcony that I just go sit on with my coffee and just say hi to everybody that walks by in the morning.
Oh yeah, that would be
That's awesome.
that would be my favorite thing to do. Oh yeah, that sounds so relaxing. I need myself a
Mm.
patio one
Oh,
day.
I have no idea why I'm. All right, whatever. We'll just keep going. I'm usually
Just
not
be
blue.
blue.
Yeah, I'm
He's
usually
just sad.
not this off.
Well, well,
Whatever.
it's not too bad. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
new light. Did you get a new light?
No, nothing's new. I'm not
Hmm.
sure what happened. Anyways, I just was
Golem's
like,
new.
kind of, yeah. Gollum's freaking me out. He's watching.
Yeah, he's peering from the back. My cats have come in a couple of times.
Yeah.
once
My
in a
dog's
while.
chilling out the window, or he's sitting on the top of my couch watching out the window.
Gotta have the
Cool.
animals. They're so cute.
Yeah, they keep us sane.
Hmm.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway, I'll be blue. That's fine. Well, all right. Cool.
it doesn't look too bad.
No, okay. It is what it is. Um, great.
I'm excited to do my next figure show. I'm excited for this bulk. This is gonna be a whole new thing.
So
Only a
Do
few
you
yeah.
know
more
what show you're
weeks.
doing next?
I don't. I kind of do. There's a show that comes here usually in the fall in Halifax. I don't remember what it's called at the moment.
Is it
What's the one
the
that's
one
coming
that
this time?
there's a one that's coming up in a couple weeks, just called the Nova Scotia Classic. It's
Yeah, that's probably
it's
exactly the one I'm thinking of.
yeah. It's this is the first time we've had it in quite a few years actually, and it's starting back up.
Nice.
So
I'm excited for that.
yeah, so
I would love to
it's
compete in my hometown.
7 weeks right now, 7 weeks out for the
It'd be
NS.
nice if Canada could get more shows.
Yeah, yeah, some more pro shows at least too. But then
Yeah, there's
again,
only
Yeah.
3 or 4.
yeah, but then again, we've had a couple good conversations with people about how sometimes it's almost becoming a little too easy to get pro
To
cards, and then
to an extent, yeah, depending on where you go, for sure.
yeah,
Um, or I find what they're doing, and like, I mean, I still support it. If it's an athlete is an athlete is an athlete, a physique, a top level physique is a top level physique.
right,
But I'm finding that they're giving it to quite young individuals, which is good because it's like they have a long term in the sport.
right,
Right.
But when it comes to looking at like muscle density and size over conditioning, which conditioning can be achieved easier, right? It takes time to put on that size. It takes time to build into the density.
yes,
So it would be nice to see some more dense, balanced physiques in figure coming out of
oh,
Canada.
yeah,
A lot of what I'm seeing right now, and like I said, I support all athletes. I'm not going to, say anything poor about anyone's
yeah,
physique, but a
no,
lot of
fine,
what they're looking for right now is like it looks like a martini glass. It's not a balanced
right,
hourglass.
No, no, I agree. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
And so it's tougher for those of us, and I'm not too sure your height. Like I'm only 5'2" and 3/4", right? So
Yeah,
very short, dense muscle body. I'm not going to get
yeah,
that long, lean look. I get lean enough, but as you can see, like my legs don't always come in. I've got thick fascia. It's where I hold a lot of my water. It's always been my trouble area. So those are
right.
things that I'm working on. And since, the last couple shows, they've come in a little bit more. So it's just working on that continuously,
100%. Yeah,
having
I'm
to keep
five
with the
one.
training. Oh yeah, so you
So,
get it.
yeah, I do, especially with the show number one.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
here we
sure.
go.
Yeah. So can we? I'm going to get back to the supplements for a second because they're always a big question that we get from a lot of people, and I'm sure you get a lot of it too.
Yep.
Uh, so your first couple shows, what was your? Do you remember what your first the first time you decided to go enhanced? Do you
Mhm.
remember your first cycle and what was that like? Were you nervous? Were you scared? Were you excited? What was going on? What got you into?
Yeah. So when I finished that first show and I had that conversation with my coach as to which direction we were going to go, she said, obviously, you have the capacity to do the Van Pro. I think that you can do well. However, you're going to be stacked up against girls that are a lot bigger,
Yeah.
right? Or that have been, doing this a lot longer. So while you do have a good physique and you have a great shape, if we can enhance that a little bit, you'll do even better, right? So at that point in time, I think for me, I was sitting, like I said, at 31. I was like, okay, this is something that I can take into consideration. I asked a lot of questions. I wanted to make sure I was doing really low dose anything. And there were things that she had, brought up that I had immediately turned down at that point in time. So my first
Nice.
cycle, I actually only I did a little bit of off-season cycling of Anavar. And then when I was in season, I did a little bit of cycling of Anavar and clenbuterol.
Oh,
And those were the only two
just
things that I
very
took
little.
for a couple years, right? So, and then when I finished competing, I don't take anything in off season,
Great. You just
right?
clean out
I let
and
my hormones reset.
good.
Yeah, exactly. I eat food. I do all of, everything that I need to be doing. Otherwise, I get my blood work done. I'm on top of things. Um, and it's crazy because there's girls that I've talked to where, their coaches have had them running cycles of clenbuterol for like 22 weeks, and I'm going,
Oh man.
oh, yeah, I'm going,
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
scary, right?
Yep.
What would something
Taking
like that do? What are some of the risks with that?
Well, clenbuterol has an impact to the heart, right? It was initially created as bronchodilator. So it allows you like way more air intake, right? And oxygen levels to the blood and among other things. So it just kind of increases your heart rate. So if you're not, careful with it, and it enlarges your heart, among other things, right? So there's a few different risks that do come along with that if you're not careful with it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's great, and I don't really see or haven't heard any about side effects like short-term usage, and maybe like the
Hmm.
last couple weeks of a prep. That would be about it,
Yeah.
right? But going maybe 4 weeks, sure, 3 weeks, whatever. But like anything more than
22
that, just
sounds,
it seems a little right, just a little
Yeah,
much,
depending on the dosages that you're taking, right? Because
right?
you can take it a little bit longer than 4 to 6 weeks. You would just want to be taking an extremely minimal dose, right?
I rather just do
So
10 minutes extra of cardio.
yeah, that's fair.
So like it's just or like maybe 20 minutes extra, whatever you need. Like just there you go.
Yeah, and I've
But
I've been around people that have
your
tried
heart
it
will
and they're
thank
like,
you.
nope. Yeah, they're like, it's not for me, right?
right,
Immediately, no.
but
And I can
Right.
support that.
yeah, because on the other hand, I've tried it too, and I've used it, and I didn't need to. I just did
Mhm.
it, but I was like, I want to be inside out, so I did it. And then
Yeah.
you're sitting there, and your hands are shaking, and you're sweating. It's just like,
I remember the first tab that I took, or the first, I think, half tab or even a quarter tab. And I was traveling down to Vancouver and I went to just pay a drop in at a gym and or I think I'd signed up for like a free week trial just to go in the gym. And I remember trying to sign my name.
oh, nice.
And I felt like I had had like 15 cups of coffee. Where like you can't, and I was like, well, that's as good as you're gonna get. And I just
It's like
gave
just a big X
it.
scribble. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where if it's not something that your body tolerates well or that you can't take low dose, like I'd tell people I wouldn't even mess with it.
All right. So,
Hmm.
skip ahead a couple years, if you don't mind going into like what you're doing now to get ready for the Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So in regards to a cycle, like I've done a little bit of cycling of Anavar as well, obviously. Just added in a little bit of Proviron because I don't like to muck around with Winstrol.
Yeah,
It's not anything that I want to increase or take or, do anything like that of. And then a little bit of Nolvadex just to kind of help with that blockage of estrogen because I do have high doses of it, obviously. And then I take a fat burner called Torch, which has like yohimbine and albuterol and a couple other things in it as well.
yeah, I've never heard of that one.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that sounds like it's good. All low. You're keeping your hormone levels balanced. Your your natural test levels with everything that you're using should be still at a
Yeah.
manageable level.
Hmm.
All right, so
And I think for me too, the biggest thing, especially with being a female athlete, is keeping things feminine, right?
yeah, I was going to mention.
And it's one of those things where again, I'm not going to speak into what anyone else is doing. I support anybody's journey and what they choose to do with their
Sure.
body. But for me, it's always been extremely important to me for me to stay feminine in this sport. I think that there needs to be that glamour and that beauty and that grace, but you can still be feminine and have a strong physique, a
Yeah.
muscular physique,
Hmm.
right? So it's trying to have that fine line between crossing that.
Right. You're doing very well. I think you
Thank you.
figured it out for yourself.
Yeah,
I
you look
appreciate that.
amazing. I remember when he sent me your profile, I was sitting on the couch with Kenzie. I was like, "Oh my God, this is this
Well,
is
that was
insane." I'm
that.
immediately intimidated. Oh my. I've
Do
got
you
a
know
lot of
what? I've
work to
had
do. I got a lot of
guys.
work to do.
I've Yeah, I've had guys stand next to me at the gym telling me that. They're like, I am intimidated training next to you. They're like, how do you get the cuts? Like, how do you have so much separation between your delts and your biceps? How do you have, or people just ask me, how did you get shoulders? And they said, have two kids at once and need to
Mm.
pack them around. That's literally what it was. It's like,
Yeah,
I was in an
yeah.
upright row position all the time.
I
Right?
also want to ask you if are they identical or fraternal?
They're fraternal, yeah. So I always just tell people the
Nice.
best way to explain that is just two boys that share the same birthday, two completely polar opposite kids. If you stood them next to one another, a lot of people will obviously understand that they're brothers, but one's slightly taller, one has glasses, the other one doesn't, like completely different
Hmm.
personalities and styles. But they're really fun kids. I absolutely love
Nice.
them. They're yeah.
So
I'm an
going back,
identical twin myself.
Are you? That's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince my sister to do bodybuilding with me so we can do like some type of couples thing.
that would be
You
pretty
That'd
should.
be
cool.
trippy.
Get her give me
Yeah.
her information and I'll send her a message and tell her she needs to.
Yeah,
I'll be fly on the wall from this
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
let
The scene. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd be
yeah.
like, you don't want to mess with her, Emma. Have you
No,
seen?
yeah, that would be
Don't.
Yeah, no, that's funny because
that'd be
like I said,
sick.
with the career path I'm going, I'm actually trying to become a police officer. So when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to get pulled over by you." And I'm like,
Right.
"No. No, I'm
No,
just trying to be
absolutely
like a
not.
mini Ronnie Coleman at
I was
this
just
point. You're not going
I
to make
was
me want
just
to
gonna
run."
say that you're gonna be in your police car eating your chicken and rice, just like
Yes.
between.
Woo
Yeah.
woo. What'd you do? What'd you do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah,
That's
scary
so
as
funny.
shit.
Yeah, so actually with this prep too, that was another thing. So this has been like a whirlwind for me. January through to April, I was going to school. I took a little bit of time off throughout the summer. Obviously, I needed a little bit of a break, but I went back to college for the first time in like 20 years.
Oh,
And I remember walking
yeah.
into school being like, "Whoa, I'm intimidated now, right?"
You're like,
And my 30, I guess 37-year-old at that time, year old ass was like, I'll just take five courses at once. Like I got to do
I could do
15
this.
credits. Yeah, I was like, I got to do 15 credits. So if I just take five courses now and five courses another semester, then we're done in like 6 months, right? Or 8 months.
You're
And
like,
that first semester, yeah, I started and these girls were
like,
like,
uh,
okay, when are you doing all your reading? And I'm like, oh, what reading? Because I was still passing all the courses and passing all the exams and like
you're like,
really
Oh
engaged in the
my.
oh,
conversations of
cool.
the class because it's things that I'm interested in. But they're trying to figure out, and then they found out that I live in Kelowna and that I was also driving 8 hours to school every week. Well,
Every
driving 4 hours down and 4 hours back. Yeah,
oh,
every week.
where
Right.
was your
Working
school?
in Vancouver.
Oh, that
Oh
is it.
wow.
Yeah, so I was driving the Coquihalla in the wintertime,
Hmm.
just
Oh,
rodeoing. Like I would
dangerous.
leave on a
That's not
Monday.
safe.
Yeah, I would work part of my Monday from home because I do remote admin for my mom's insurance brokerage out of Alberta. So everything that can be done from a distance, I do for her here. And then after that, what ended up happening was, so I do that. I would work on Monday morning. I would leave about midday, drive down to Vancouver, stay at my girlfriend's house. And that night, what I'd do is I'd train at West Coast Iron and I would study.
Oh, with Ron.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then I would get up in the
Uh,
next morning. I'd get up the next morning, drive to the college, do my steps, take my first class at 9:30, get out of that first class, and then I would have a 3 hour break where I would eat lunch and I would train at the college campus. And then I would have another class and finish that one at 6:20. Then I would get up the next morning, go back to the school, do my cardio. I would do a class at 9:30 or yeah, 9:30 to 12:20 and then I'd have another class from 12:30 to 3:20. Sometimes I would get out of that one early, depending on what we were doing, and then I would drive home. And then I would go back
Jeez.
to work the next day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then whoop, I did that for like 4 months. Still, raising my kids, still doing my prep, still
yeah.
teaching two group fitness classes a week and I was losing my mind. I was like, people were asking me how I was doing, and I was like, I feel like you got some water wings because like we're
Yeah,
trying to
it's
stay
like,
afloat at this point.
Oh yeah, I
But
bet you'd be losing your mind.
I thought I
yeah,
had
I'd
a
be losing
busy
my
life.
mind. Holy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the end of April,
Hmm.
I was like, you know what, I didn't realize that I needed to register a lot earlier, so I was like, well, I guess I'm not taking summer courses. So I start back up in September, but I only have two. We're playing it
Two.
safe this time. We're gonna
Okay,
do
good.
two.
Yeah.
I still have to drive down to Vancouver. I have
You
one of
still
them in
have to do
person
the
and one of them
drive.
online. Yeah, that's okay. But
Yeah.
do you know what? It's bittersweet. It allowed me a lot of introspective time when I was driving, like a lot of time to
Hmm.
just think and be, which I needed based on some stuff I
Plan.
had gone through.
Yep.
And then, so it allows me that quiet time, but it allows me to also connect with the fitness industry in Vancouver, which I'm a huge part of as well, because a
Oh,
lot of the
wonderful.
people that I communicate with on a day-to-day basis or that I'm friends with from these leagues are in Vancouver.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
another part of why I'd like to get down there eventually, is because that's kind of where my fitness family is. I have a fitness family here, but I want to be able to train at that gym where there are
At West
pros, where there
Coast.
are
Yeah.
people. Yeah, not that my gym isn't motivating. I have a phenomenal gym here and there's a lot of great athletes,
What
but
gym do you
having them
train at in
here,
Kelowna?
Iron Nation.
Iron Nation. Where's that
Mhm.
at? Is
So it's
that
on Enterprise. It's down towards the car dealerships, like where Banks and Walmart is.
is that newer ish?
So they opened it in September, late September of last year or the beginning of September. I think
Okay,
late
yeah, so that's
September.
pretty new. Yeah. I used to live
hmm
in Kelowna, so
Oh, did you?
yeah. Now I'm in
Yeah.
Halifax on the complete opposite side of the country.
Oh, dang. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Mm,
how's that? Are you enjoying that?
Oh, I'm from here, so
Yeah.
but yes, we have a wonderful fitness and bodybuilding community here.
Nice.
It is quite, yeah, quite thriving, I would say. But
Yeah,
we don't. It's not. There's no West Coast Iron.
exactly.
We're pretty close. We have a very good gym here called Fitness FX
Okay,
that
yeah.
we're looking on
I think I've
bringing
seen
on
it pop
board
up.
with the podcast actually, which is pretty
Oh,
cool.
lovely.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably, I would say we're very lucky to have it here. We're one of the best gyms in the East Coast, definitely by far.
Nice.
But yeah, still not quite uh, West Coast Iron.
Not not West Coast Iron. There's no helicopter fan.
No,
Not
There's
yet.
no big
That'll be
Ron.
cool.
no big
Yeah.
No, it's
Ron.
growing
No
steadily.
posing room.
Hopefully they get
Yeah.
We have a posing room. Thank
Yes,
goodness.
Fitness
That's one
FX
thing
has
that we're
one.
lacking on.
Oh really?
Yeah, I know that they had intended on putting one in, but with the mass amounts of Panada equipment that we got and some specialty pieces, they lost that space. So we do have like a turf in front
Uh,
of mirrors that you can
Right.
practice
Yeah.
in. We do have another area by the change rooms that you can practice in. Actually, one of the reels I posted that just blew up, that's where I was posting that from, was just near a window.
Ah,
So
cool.
yeah, there's areas that you can do it. I'm fortunate enough with the space that I have right now and how I have my area set up that I have like all of this area here that I can use for
right.
practicing and like
Oh yeah.
doing all of my posing and my check-ins and things like that because I get a lot of natural light, so I can bring out a mirror and stack it right up against this and I'll do my
Way
practicing
to
here.
go.
Or I've even taken my clients out on my balcony with how long it is and you do natural light posing, right? So you make it work.
Love
You figure
that.
out
Yeah.
what works for you.
Nice. That's really
Nice.
great.
I've
Uh,
always wanted to check out the posing room in Fitness FX.
yeah, that's one of the. I was just about to say Caroline is yet to get over there. I don't know. You gotta do it.
How
Like,
far are you
I
from
know.
it?
Oh gosh, not far at all.
but
Then no excuse.
No, I know.
like the community is good. Everyone's like super supportive, right? It's like one thing I find a big misconception is with like our community is everyone's just so stuck up, egocentrical, and just
Angry.
angry gym people that like to stare at themselves.
Yeah,
Definitely,
Or just yeah,
intimidating,
just
that,
very.
narcissistic.
but
Yeah,
that is true. We do like to stare, but
yes. But it's more
everything
because we're
else,
like, okay, how does that look? All right, you got to do a couple more reps on that side. No, I'm
right?
just kidding.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I always tell people that because I get a lot of messages from people that are like, "Oh, I finally saw you in the gym, but I was too scared to come say hi." And I'm like,
I get that
"So, okay."
often.
I was like, whether I have RBF, I have my headphones on, or I'm smiling, please come and approach me. I'm very nice. Like, we'll say hi. do like cookies, like puppies, and I like coffee and walks. So let's do those things, right? But yeah, I'm gonna lift weights, and I might try to outlift you, even if you're a dude.
Of course, and
Love
you
that.
most likely will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I always tell
awesome.
people I had to be strong because I grew up with a brother that was 2.5 years older than me that we used to throw down, right? So it's like you
Nice.
have to
Well, you got to
learn
be
to kind of just
prepared.
roll with the punches, and if you get hurt, you just keep going.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can't let them see the weakness.
No.
Something
No.
that I like to do, we can take a little scroll through your Instagram page,
Hmm.
if that's cool,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then just like kind of pop up a couple pictures, maybe tell us a little story about them.
Yeah.
All right, see if we can. I just gotta bring up the screen.
Well, this is exciting. I'm like, ooh, which one are we gonna pick?
All right.
I know. This is always the good part.
Hmm.
Love it. Here we go.
Yeah, see if we'll get this all up. Yeah, so there's like, so finally, if our viewers don't really know or haven't checked you out by now, this is your page. Here you go. Your
Satellite
Instagram.
Legacy, and it's funny because I always get asked where that name came from or what's
Yep.
the significance of it. And I actually, if you scrolled back far enough to that first post out of the nearly 3,200 that I have on there, because I've never gone back and like deleted those first ones. I'm pretty sure the first one on my page is maybe a cat that used to come into my backyard before I started training that like I took a picture of for my children. And then
Yep.
it's probably pictures of
That's
my kids
awesome.
and like a few funny memes here and there. Oh yeah, this one. So I love this.
That's a fantastic photo.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the
it's a
story
great one.
behind this one is actually pretty entertaining. There's a friend of mine that goes to my current gym. His name is Borhan and he does bodybuilding. And so he always tries to get me to do bodybuilding poses. And this is one that I always pop into for him, which I thought was pretty fun. So this is my client Felicity. She did her first
Okay.
bodybuilding show the day after I did the Vancouver Open. So she did the
She looks
Vancouver
great.
Natural. Yeah, she's a 21-year-old
Yes,
year
she
old figure
does.
athlete. Yeah, she's adorable. And so what ended up happening was my other client, Jessie, a bikini athlete who's in one of the other photos, she was over taking some photos with the photographer. And I called Felicity over to one of the other mirrors and I said, we should take a photo like this for Borham. And I put it up on my story, and all I did was comment saying that I said we were about to drop our sick mixtape. And and
That's
and
awesome.
then when the photographer called us over, I was like, "Oh, sorry, we were just goofing around. We just took this photo." And I showed him. He's like, "Oh, that's a sick shot. Let's do it
That
over here."
is.
So he took the shot for us, and I was like, "Oh, I loved it." And so yeah,
That is
it's
pretty
don't take our
sick.
food
Yeah, the lighting's
because we're
fucking
gonna
perfect.
Yeah.
yeah,
The
don't take
lighting
our
is
snacks.
the lighting was great.
Yeah,
All right, so yeah, let's keep going. There's Kelowna.
yeah,
Oh man,
that's
some
off
of
of
the good ones are up.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah, that's
Kelowna.
off the top of Boucherie.
I used to
So
live
I
right
like to
beside
tell.
there.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah,
And
if I look out, I can't see it from this floor, but the fourth floor when I move up there, I'll be able to see Boucherie from there. But I always tell people hiking is something that I do when I'm not in my right headspace and when I'm really struggling with something. And I always tell people I go up a sad bitch and I come down a bad bitch. So
that's
Yes, I
wonderful.
love that.
yeah, yeah,
All right, this
Yeah, these show pictures are fucking
yeah.
awesome.
yeah. So that was Van Pro 2021. I believe.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was a suit
DMs look
rental.
awesome.
So the funny story with this suit is that was a suit rental from Suit Lady. I absolutely loved it. I went back to go buy it. Somebody had already put a deposit on it. So I
Oh wow.
had
Okay.
Ravishing Sands or Ravish Sands in the States remake me that suit
Ooh,
in the
nice.
sample. Yeah, so that's the one that they sent to me, and they had accidentally made it more of a teal color, but it's more of like a periwinkle blue, kind of like a got a purpley tinge to it. So when they
Right.
remade it, that's what I wore on the other one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
Um,
awesome.
do you ever worry or get comments about your tattoos when you're on stage?
No, I've never had any comments about my tattoos on
No.
stage, and I think that they're becoming more. acceptable in the competition world. You'll see a lot of
Yes.
competitors. I mean, maybe not so much at the Olympia level, or if they are at the Olympia level, my understanding is that they're covering them,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It's like
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
when you
okay.
have like a full sleeve tattoo or something.
Yeah, but I mean, mine blends in pretty well. So, I mean, even though it's got a lot of color in it, when you color me that dark, it still fades out quite a bit into that.
Your the center
Well, that's
picture
pretty
here
lucky.
is a client of yours, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's a client of mine. So that is both a client of mine and one of my best friends. And if you ever see me post about Chomp Cookie Co., have you guys ever
Okay.
heard of
Yep.
them? Yeah, so
Uh,
she's actually the
No.
baker. That's who makes the cookies.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah,
check
so
it out
that's
because
her.
I'm obsessed with cookies.
Oh yeah, I
oh,
should link that to you. But yeah, that's her change
You
over the years.
should.
So
that's
she
fantastic.
lost, yeah, she
Yes.
lost 80 pounds before working with me, and then we've just drastically been changing her physique over the years. She's a wonderful mother of two. She also works in insurance here, and then she goes to my same gym, and we spend quite a bit of time together. She's a huge both supporter and friend, and just cheerleader and everything. We do that for each other.
Amazing. And
That's
And then
I
awesome.
take it
you'll get some
you're
of my humor in there.
I take it you're
I'll
a
be
brand
on.
ambassador as well.
I was, yeah, yeah, and I do for some like Devotee Wear was one of them, Beyond was one of them,
Oh yeah.
Mudo
Oh, there's
was,
the front
yeah,
pose.
There's
yeah,
the
Mudo was one of them.
This is
Yeah,
the that. Oh my God, seriously, like inspiration for sure. This looks
yeah, that was,
fucking incredible.
yeah.
Your abs look amazing.
yeah.
Thank you, and that's why I like to
I
tell
just like that
people,
you can see the glutes from the front, and that's where I'm at.
yeah,
It's
yeah, we
like
got the side glute.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
That
love
part
that.
is pretty phenomenal, right?
It really helps with the
Do you know what's
hourglass for
funny?
sure.
Is that with this photo or anytime I post photos like that where people can see my
Right.
abs, they're like, it might have been on this photo either or on when I posted it before, but somebody had said it's like the Windows logo. And now I'm like, I can't unsee it.
Oh, with like the
That's
squares and
so.
the way like the bottom two are a
Yeah,
Oh
little
my
wavy.
gosh.
yeah. But I always like to use things like this with any of my clients that come to me or anybody that has ever come to me being like, I've had kids, I can't do it. I'm like, I've had
Right.
twins. What's your excuse? Like,
You're like,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can
literally.
So
you can do it. And I
any
had a cesarean, right? So like, I have the scar line. I've had to, build into those lower abs because
right.
all of that was damaged.
So any suggestions for like bringing like skin elasticity back and like keeping your skin tight while through like pregnancy and like you don't
Well, I
see
mean,
too much.
that's going to be
Go ahead.
different based on the individual, right? Because some of that
Yep.
is going to be genetic. Some of it obviously is
Oh
care.
yeah.
So yeah, I just used a lot of like lotions and things like that. And then on my scarring, when I finished with that, what I ended up doing
Right.
was bio oil and things like that. What I
Hmm.
failed to understand was at the point in time when I had my cesarean, there's a lot of aftercare that goes into it and that the doctors did not indicate to me. So a lot of like massage techniques that you should be using to kind of break up the scar tissue. And, so I didn't go through that at that point in time. I was 22. My brain at that point in time, when I decided I wanted kids when I was young, because my mom was a young mom. And for me, it was having the energy to keep up with it and having that young, good connected relationship where I kind of might understand what they're going through when they're going through things, right?
Hmm.
Because you don't have that large disconnect of like 30 plus years,
Yeah.
um, you know?
That's so
And
true.
so, yeah, I was like, I knew I wanted to be a mom at a young age. And I was like, all right, 22, like I could do one. And then at my 4 month,
Yeah.
checkup, when I went for my ultrasound,
You've
they were
got
like,
two.
here's
Like
two. And I was like,
oh
oh
my,
yeah,
okay.
literally it was an oh crap situation, like not that I wasn't able gonna be able to handle it or anything, but it was a shock, I think. And then having two babies, and I had them early. They were 6.5 weeks early, so
Oh
I had
wow.
Oh really?
premature
Mhm.
babies at 22. Like, what do I do? And they were still in the hospital for 2 weeks when I went home, so it was driving back and forth. So it was,
Hmm.
yeah, it's been, I grew with them in my 20s. I think I was a lost more in my 20s, so I'm kind of growing more in my 30s. And I've had,
Oh, that's good.
you
Yeah.
know,
Most people
yeah,
are a
a
mess
lot
in
of,
their 20s. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. No, it forced me to grow up really fast. And I mean, I've always had to. grow up fast. You know, I went through a lot through my childhood, and there's still things that I'm fixing or, growing up through and
Of
learning and,
course. Yeah.
allowing myself that time to kind of fix so that I don't continue to carry them forward or fix so that my kids can see, right?
And that's so nice that you have that awareness too, right? A lot of people even don't have that self awareness that will just continue to pass all of the toxicity on if that's what is in you're trying to get rid
It
of.
would,
And
yeah, which is it's sad and it's concerning, right?
mm,
Because it's
we see it a
creating the
lot.
world that we're living in today,
Oh yeah,
right?
which is
Unfortunately,
Hmm.
pretty
not a
messed
lot of
up.
Yeah, I was just saying to my dad, I was like, I love it. It's a fine line because you're like being alive and being able to do the things that we do is such a rewarding experience, right? Like to be able to experience just life in general, but the ability to move your body and the ability to connect with individuals and all of the things that we can do and see. But you're going, there's so much, like the world is broken. It's so
Yeah,
broken right now.
yeah,
And so
Hmm.
it's nice to
Agreed.
have something like this that you can kind of immerse yourself in where you feel like it's a different world,
right. And
right? Everything else disappears.
everything else disappears, and the people that are in this world are tight. It can be
Yeah.
very, it can be. It's almost we have our own little weird family, right? Our little niche of a family, and we all kind of get each other. And
Yeah. I
we
like to
put
tell people that it takes a certain level of psychopath to do building and competing in general, right? And I
Yeah.
also like to tell people that I'm doing it to train for life because at the end of the day, like as the world continues to age and, go the route that it does, that's why I'm doing all of these different things that I'm doing. That's why I'm working on becoming a police officer so I have more combat training. That's why and more self-awareness and more
yeah,
critical thinking skills and, right? And that's why I'm doing bodybuilding so that I have the strength. And initially it was a confidence thing. And then it was I'm going to be on my own with my kids. I need to make sure that, if somebody was to approach me, I can protect myself and I can protect them. And then it was like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm good at this. Let's compete and,
let's keep.
turn it into that. And then, the bodybuilding aspect, you're like, well, I can withhold food if I needed to. So if there is a food shortage, like we're good.
It's like you're
Right?
fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We
Living on
roll
the
with the
same
punches,
food
we
for a
figure it
long
out.
time,
Yeah.
measuring
So
things,
yeah, just don't
being
take our gyms
prepared just
again.
in general.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
don't
yeah,
take our
yeah,
gyms
yeah.
away again.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's really nice just like having such a strong community as in like you're I'm at one end of the Carolina and I are one end of the country, you're on the other, and we are
Mhm.
still connecting. We still have some sort of a a connection and a bond that will brings us together, and we have lots to talk
Yeah.
about, right? And it's crazy.
Well, exactly. And
It's
it's
wonderful.
it's it's amazing just how far that travels because I've got
Yeah,
people in Australia that I talk to that compete.
for sure.
I've got people throughout the
Love it.
States. So
Yeah.
it's
So
nice
It's
because you
shared
you
trauma.
understand. Yeah, it's seeing yeah, shared trauma. There you
shared
go.
trauma,
It
exactly.
is.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Like this podcast is, I think we're now being viewed in, I think, several different countries. So
Oh
it's
wow.
all over the place. So yeah, it's just like we're one big, family that's united in iron, as
Hmm.
they say, and it's
Hmm.
wonderful, and I love
Yeah,
it.
there's nowhere that I would rather be
Yeah.
ultimately at the end of the day. It's like I want to be connecting with these individuals who have, huge goals. And it's like that saying that always comes up and I see it all the time and it's probably one of my favorite things. A good physique, it's not something that is just given, it's earned. So you respect it, right? Like you respect the fact that somebody has
Right.
worked for that. We're not sitting here looking for the easy way out. We're taking the challenges. We're, in the ditch. We're
Oh
rolling
yeah.
over figuring it out. And if we fail, we get back up. We're not giving up.
Hmm.
100%.
100%. Jinx. We're bringing it back.
Awesome. All right. Well, we don't want to keep you too much longer. I don't. Do you have anything else? I think that was Caroline. Do you have?
When are you competing again? When's your next
September
show?
1st.
Okay, so she's yeah, right, right, right. A couple weeks out. That's gonna be
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, it
Do
is.
you have a goal in mind when you say Olympia? Like, do you have a year, or is it one of those things that you don't think you could peg?
Well, um, Definitely within the next 3 years, for sure. For sure.
That'll be exciting.
If not sooner. Ultimately, once I become a pro, and for me, it's just about getting my legs to come in. And I don't want to use this as an example as well, but somebody from the East Coast, there was an IFBB pro that reached out to me after the show, and he had stacked my photo next to Autumn's, and Autumn had taken second at the Van Pro show. And the side by side comparison of our upper physiques, comparable. If
Hmm.
not, I looked like I had a little bit more size into my lats. It's my lower half. It's
Right.
the conditioning, right? So I know
No,
it's
I
right there.
agree.
So it's like yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, I'm patient, but I'm also impatient. It's like, just do your job.
No, I
Was
have a really hard time with the tie-ins on my legs, especially like my hamstrings and glutes in the back. Like,
Mhm.
I'm curious to see if I can even get. You can kind of see where they're supposed to be, but that's like I'm hoping that when I do another show, I can at least see where they are supposed to be. Maybe not. If I could even just get a touch more separation than I did last year, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you do you find that's mainly your diet that you guys tweak, or is it your exercises, or do you think it's just uh, like how long you've been doing it for?
or an estrogen
It's a
issue?
combination. Yeah, it's a combination of things. Probably estrogen. I know that I have thicker fascia on my legs, so I was doing a lot of fascial work. My massage therapist just had a couple weeks off, so I'll probably go back to her this next week. Um,
Cool.
it's we did a lot of high volume training with my legs, and we dropped down to just one leg day a week. And then there's a full body day where I do like a couple higher volume leg exercises. That's today. So I get to do
Oh,
full body high
Oh
volume def is
boy.
what I
those.
like to call it.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So less training on the legs, but more high volume when I am training them. So rep counts in like ridiculous amounts
Right.
where I'm like dying. Like I'll do I think I did 3 sets of 25 to 30 or 35 like lying leg curls the other day, and then
Ugh.
right after that went into 3 sets of 35 to 40 leg extensions.
Sounds like
Yeah,
something.
that
Like
sounds like my
yeah,
Sounds like something
lightweight
Dusty
that
would
sounds
do to
like
you.
something I've done.
burning. Yeah,
Yeah.
lightweight but burning. Like don't go to failure, but you're still in pain.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's one of those weird feelings when you do really high reps like that. You feel it feels I always say like flambe. It feels like it's on fire. It feels like your muscles are literally like getting pulverized inside your body, but for some reason there's always just like you can do that one more. It's such a
Yeah.
interesting balance that you
Well, it's
find.
yeah,
Same
I find
here.
it, and
You're
then you
taking
get
it
into
to
your
yourself.
second sets. That's
Yeah.
exactly
It's
what it is.
all
Yeah.
clear.
So I'll get through
Yeah,
that
yeah,
first,
yeah.
I'll get through that first set, and I'll stand up and I'll be like, that sucks. And I'll look over, and somebody will be looking at me, and I'll be like, he hates me, right? Like my coach hates me. I'm like, why else would you do this to somebody, right? And then I'll get
That's
into that
so
second one,
funny.
and you hit that 15th rep on that second, set where you're
Hmm.
trying to hit 40, and you're like,
Like,
I think it might explode. I think my legs
yeah,
are
and
gonna
then
explode.
yeah, and then you get to 25 and you're like, all right, I just need to make it to 35. Okay, I just
yeah.
need to make it a couple more, right? And
Just five
it's just
more.
that
Yeah.
one, yeah, it's just
Five.
that
It's
one
always
more,
five
right? And
more.
it's like the treadmill minute where you're just like,
Right.
it's almost there.
Yeah, I love that. So funny. Yeah, those high reps
Mhm.
are brutal. Yeah. It's kind of fun
Yeah,
when you get
so
to increase your weight when you're doing the high reps because it's
I
so hard to
love
increase your weight.
taking. It is,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to having a good off season. I have one exercise where I get like an 8 to 10 rep count. Everything else is like 12 to 40, depending on the day.
Whew.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wh-
so
When you
I've been in
say
high.
when you say 8 to
I,
10, is that just because you don't want to do as many reps on that, or is that like that's
Like
like
heavy.
max all you are able? Yeah. It's just heavy,
no,
heavy
I would
set?
be able. Yeah, it's a heavy set. So I would
Right.
anything that I would normally be doing. So that one's for like a machine chest press.
Right.
So I can max out on that 8 to 10 reps, pretty good, about 210. And then
Nice.
if I'm doing, yeah, so when he has to have me on my high volume and I'm doing 20 to 30 reps, I'm going to keep it at like 180. We're definitely not going higher than
Oh
that
yeah, for
because,
sure.
as you're doing that constant pump, you start getting into your third set and you're like, I'm
It's
gonna
like,
die.
Yeah.
but then I find everything
Yeah.
else starts to take over
You're
too.
like,
Your chest fails, then your shoulders are taking over, and then everything. Your triceps are
Yeah.
just toast.
you want,
And that's
and we got to keep that muscle memory or that muscle mind muscle
Yeah,
connection. You
yeah,
don't want to
that's
start
it.
ignoring it just to get those reps out.
Which a lot of
yeah,
people
the
will tend
only
to do,
problem.
and like the form breaks down, and it's just like you're just you're just swinging.
You're fatigued.
You look
You're
like a
fatigued.
CrossFitter.
Yeah, I'm sure I look like that on my shoulder days because those high volume shoulder days or even a back and rear delt day because I go from doing um there's a superset that I have on my back and rear delt days where I'll do 4 sets of 25 to 35 seated wide cable rows and then
Right.
I'll go do 20 to 30 25 to 30 or 20 to 25 bent over rear delt flies. And so once you get into like your third, fourth set, you're sh- dead. Everything
Yeah.
hurts. And
Hmm.
then,
Hmm.
I've had issues with my one side with, bicep tendonitis and all of those issues.
Oh,
So
that's
every
rough.
once in a
Yeah.
while, in through the crease line of my shoulder, it starts to hurt. And you're like,
I get that
okay,
every now and then too. That same
yeah,
spot.
so you have to determine,
Yeah.
can I work through it pain? Or is it one where like maybe I'm going to switch up the movement a little bit? And
Hmm.
fortunately, because I have a good relationship with my coach and because I do coach other individuals as well, it allows me that ability to kind of adapt my training program if I need to. And he trusts that, right? He knows that I know what I need and what I need to change up here and
Hmm.
there. So it's nice to have that give and take relationship where he can still call me out for things and be like, "Listen," right? But I'm still, he'll go, "What's best for you." So if you need to change that or if you need to do this, right? Like I knew with the shoulder issues that I have, me bench pressing, because I don't typically have girls around that can spot me, right? I might be able to ask the odd guy here and there, but I'm not going to interrupt their workout. But when I do a bench press, and I go to max out, I just have like a certain rotation in that one side, and it always ends up with an
Just kind of
impingement.
messes
So
you up.
if yeah, so if I can switch to a machine chest press, get the same movement, and be able to push that heavier weight with form and have that proper stability into it, he's not going to be like you're
Away
doing
you go.
you're not doing what's programmed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Bench
100%.
pressing for bodybuilding is 100% overrated as well. I want.
Yeah.
I believe that. I'll put that out and I'll stand behind that. It's like I
Hmm.
think it's horrible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so
So there are
Yeah,
some movements that I'll definitely avoid, or some that I will give preference to that I do really enjoy.
right, yeah. But I just
you
want to
don't watch out for your
actually,
shoulders.
yeah, I just want to actually like I'll put that out there. Like your rep ranges and your the way you train is programmed by your trainer. It's like a
Hmm.
lot of people that are watching this are like, maybe I should try 40 reps for everything. Uh,
No.
no, yeah, it's like kind of
Yeah.
like,
You're not thinking about competing for friggin'
but
Olympia
also,
unless you
yeah,
are.
exactly. But
Yeah, and
also,
that's what I
your
like to
this is
tell
how your
people.
body responds too, right? It's
Yeah, and
probably a
that's
lot of
I'm
trial and
very
error to figure that out as well.
It was, yeah. So we went through a few different seasons, right? And we tried different things. Like we tried training them harder. We tried, dialing back on food, doing more cardio, or doing hit sprints. And what we were finding was with the hit sprints, because I was doing dead mills, it's a lot of extra inflammation in my body, right? Because I was
Right.
literally pushing a treadmill with my legs. I don't know if you've ever done dead mills, they suck. Um,
We don't
No, I've
have.
so
never.
I don't think we have anything that would allow us to do that.
you can do it on any regular treadmill when it's
Oh,
off.
we would be we get in so much trouble at our
L-
gym.
Oh, really?
I'm
Oh
Yeah, no, I was
telling
doing
you.
it
yeah. Oh
at
yeah, we would.
Yeah, I
We
was
would
doing
get
it at
kicked out for
home with
sure.
my own tread pad, right? So, I mean, you could probably get a similar, sled push pull, right?
Yeah, the sled, like
Very
a sled
similar.
drag or a sled pull, would
Yeah,
be
so I was doing that, but there was a lot of inflammation in my legs from that, right? Because I was only doing 2 bouts of it per week, and then I was doing additional cardio, but it was too much for my legs, right? So I needed to dial back on that. I do a lot of walking, like where I am in Cologne, I'm actually right down by the bridge. right off of water on Pandosy side. So,
Oh
or
no.
on
Oh,
like the
lucky
side with the
you.
hospital. Yeah. So for
Yeah.
me, I can literally walk out my place and within 5 minutes be at the beach, right? So I can go walk the boardwalk. So usually every day I'll go for a walk down through downtown and I'll stop off at like the Safeway and grab a couple groceries and walk myself back because it gets me extra steps. I'm still doing steady state cardio as I need to, and I'm still sometimes getting on a treadmill and just doing general walking there, just if, depending on the weather, depending on the smoke, depending on the time of day.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but it is
Yeah.
right.
Nice.
You're right in that capacity that it's going to be different for each individual. Everybody's body responds differently, right? Everybody's metabolism is going to respond differently, and muscle
For
growth,
sure.
it's all different.
Yeah. So yeah, took probably a little bit to figure that one out. So don't just jump on the 40 rep range. Uh,
Not unless you don't want to walk.
yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah,
My gym,
start
my gym has an
slow.
elevator. Yeah, my gym has an elevator. So usually leg days, I'll walk up the couple flights of stairs. It's only two flights, but it's like five
That's
different
awesome.
routes that you have to go through, right, to get up to the top. I'll elevator down.
nice, awesome.
Yeah, we
That's
don't try to walk the
hilarious. I
complete
love that.
steps after leg day. Bad
You'd
idea.
fall down the stairs. You wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Well, I've done that
So
because
I
I'm the
used to
person that's like still trying to respond to things, and then I'll miss my footing, and I'm
Then
like, oh my.
yeah, or your knee gives out. That's the worst one. The quad says absolutely not. You're like,
I don't even have to be on a stairs to do that. I will just be
oh yeah,
walking through the gym and my leg just decides it just one leg. It just
buckles.
stops.
it just
Yeah,
wouldn't
just
go.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
I
not
used to
my leg
train.
anymore.
I used to train at what's the one in West Bank? Worlds.
Yeah, there's Worlds and now there's
Yeah,
IFBB.
that has like you had to go upstairs to the locker rooms. That was horrible. Like nothing else was up there except for the locker rooms. I was like, oh,
I'm just
good
gonna go.
God. Yeah.
See, and I was training at Global and I used to work there too. So what would happen is my leg days would be split between the upper and lower levels. And you're like, you'd go upstairs for one exercise and then you've got a quad pump and then you come back downstairs to do something and you're struggling to get down the
it's
stairs and
like
then you have to walk back up. And there's no elevator there that I
yeah,
was aware of anyways. And I was just like, okay. So you're
Get an
holding onto
extra
the leg.
burn.
Yeah, and you've got somebody behind you and you're like, it's okay, go around. Like I'm gonna take a couple more minutes.
That's so funny.
oh,
hmm
man.
The stairs are the gym's nemesis. They should just have ramps.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One
It's like
level. Just
yeah,
rancher
one
that.
level.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so if people are wondering, are you taking clients now, and how do they
Abs-
find you and contact you?
Yeah, so I just actually had a couple spots open up. I did have a few clients, one who is also kind of studying this sort of stuff. So I think for him, he wants to try a little bit on his own. So, I set him free like a little birdie because for me, it's funny. I like to, yes, I'm a personal trainer, but I like to tell people I feel like I'm more of a coach. I'm going to give you the tools necessary to do your job, right? You're going to get your programming, you're going to get your macros, you're going to get your supplementation recommendations, you're going to get the support. But my big thing and why I choose macros and why I say coach over personal trainer is because I like to teach people. I'm an
Mm,
educator, right? So for me, just simply giving somebody something that they can follow, but not actually diving in to learn about them or trying to understand what their habits and mannerisms are or what their goals are and trying to educate them on choosing proper foods or choosing proper amounts based on the goals that they have and how those goals adapt and change over time, right? So I do have some spots that I have opened up just recently, especially now that I'm not teaching group fitness classes. I do have a little bit more free time on my hands.
nice.
There is a link directly in my profile bio that they can fill out a form, indicate which time zone that they're in is important.
Right. Yeah.
Reach out to them as they come in and just be like, just checking what time zone are you in, just so that I know when I'm calling. But yeah, absolutely, fill out the form and we can get you started on that. And I usually start out with they'll send me that form. I'll set up a time that we can converse because for me, I want to know that somebody has that readiness, right? That discipline to start.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you guys have been around individuals, maybe that or maybe you've coached individuals as well, finding those people that understand that yes, they can have that vision and they can have that goal, but unless you actually do the work. So I like to tell
Yeah.
people, can give you all the tools necessary, but I can't
Yeah.
smack food out of your hand. I can't walk you into the gym. I can't lift the weights for you, right? And if
How,
you're going to
how,
make excuses for everything, it's not going to work.
how many times have
Hmm.
you, when you were starting, have you helped people, written programs, did diets, and then, a week later they're like, "Oh yeah, I tried for a day," and it's just you're like, "You mean I spent hours writing you out a
That's so
plan
disappointing.
for
Yeah,
free
yeah,
because it's like we're just kind of starting out," and you're like, and then it was it like, oh,
yeah.
that's kind of yeah. All right.
Yeah, and so I like to gauge that on the calls that I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way that you can kind of use your words or kind of ask the right questions that will let you know if somebody has that physical readiness, right? And
Right.
that mindset. Versus, I mean there are a couple clients here and there that you bring on that you still struggle with. I did bring on one recently, and she likes to cook meals for her family at home, which is totally fine, but it's one of those ones where it's like you kind of express to them, okay, let's track those meals. So let's put them into my fitness pal. Like let's put your recipes in my fitness pal and break up the portions so that you know how much you're eating, because this client specifically came to me wanting to lose 20 to 25 pounds. And you hear things like, well, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well.
it can be at first, but once you figure it out, it's really quick and easy. And once it's in there, then it's in there, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then other
Yeah.
people can use it
Yeah.
too. So yes, it might be a couple extra minutes here and there, but for the longevity of things, when you have said goal, are you willing to do everything that you need to do in order to achieve it? Right? So it's tough when you get those combative, individuals, but
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
just have to remind them like this is what you want. So
Right.
in order to do that, it's about creating a lifestyle change. And I always tell people I never expect perfect right out the gate. I think it's important to slowly build habits. So if there's something that one person is struggling with, I'm like, okay, let's let that be our focus for this week. Right.
Oh,
If
for sure.
tracking is
Yeah.
the issue, let's work on tracking. If you're not drinking enough water, let's prioritize your water this week. If your sleep is struggling, like I had a client that just started with me. I had a couple girls just start with me actually that were not getting the proper support from their coaches, where they were asking questions and like waiting 4 or 5 days for a response, or it seemed like they were expressing that the responses that they were getting were like it was out of frustration. So the
Oh,
response of
that's
you
the
just
worst.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
it breaks my heart when people are going through that, because I don't want people to hire coaches and have bad experiences, right? It's the same with people who hire coaches and compete and don't have the greatest experience, and then they quit competing and all they can do is badmouth it,
Right. And they think
right?
that's what the norm is,
That
right?
happens
What's
a
it called?
lot.
And like it's
Yeah,
but it doesn't
so
have to be so. It doesn't have to be that way.
yeah,
Do
so
you
it's
have
just trying to
do you have a limit? Sorry, I was just saying, do you have a limit of clients that you take in before you're like, all right, I've got enough
yeah, I
for
wouldn't
like
take
basically
on.
keeping track of everybody?
Yeah, so I mean, I do use an app that allows me to keep track of everybody quite well. I use Trainerize, so I can see everybody's training programs. I can see at what position that they are in those training programs, like what percentage through those programs they are. I can schedule it into their calendar and actually see their adherence to it. I can,
Cool.
give them macros and everything through that and have them track it through there or MyFitnessPal, all their photos side by side, all of their measurements and everything on graphs. It's really great. But because I
Cool.
am one single person doing it all by myself, I personally wouldn't take on any more than 25 clients, because for me, I like to have that in-depth, relationship with my clients,
Right.
because and I express to them, the more that you communicate and the more that you ask questions, the more you're going to learn and the more successful you will be. Right. And
Yeah.
it's just,
Def.
habit adjustments like that. The young ones that I just brought on, excuse me, pardon me. One of them was saying that she was upset because she really wanted to get into getting up early and working out earlier in the morning, but she was notorious for just not being able to do that. And I said to her, "Do you sleep with your phone next to you? Is it your alarm?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Great, plug it in a different room."
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've done that before. And I said, "But then it forces you to get up." I said, "And then when you get up, don't immediately go on your phone, go into your kitchen, like shut off your alarm, but go into your kitchen and have a drink of water and then go stand in some natural light." And she's like, "I'm going to try that." And so she started walking in the mornings, right? Or she would say to me, because I expressed to them, like, if you can get more neat throughout your day, then do it. If you can get 8 to 10,000
Mm-hmm.
steps, great, because then there's more activity, you're burning more calories, right? And she would
Hmm.
send me messages and she's like, "I'm really struggling to hit these steps." And literally within days was just like, "You know what? I wasn't going to do it. And I went out and I did it." And I shocked myself and I got them all done, even though I was stressed that I wasn't going to get done. Right. So it's just, and they see me, and I think it's the motivation. Like it's me constantly putting out, like, hi, this is where I am. I'm on the treadmill. I'm at the gym. I'm eating this food. I'm doing this. I'm, sharing all of these positive, strong messages that I think a lot of people are resonating with. And that's what it is for me. People are drawn to the energy. Right. So for me, I like to share that energy with the right people, and that's why I don't promote my services a lot. It's if people come to
'Cause-
me and they see, well, I drive with you. I've got a girl that I'm starting in September, and she was with a coach that was a friend of hers that she wasn't paying for. But she's like, I just wasn't getting that sort of
you weren't,
support. And then she's like, as much as, I appreciate the fact that she got me to where I was and I wasn't paying, I'm willing to pay to get proper support.
to get to
And
the
she's
next
telling
level.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, so I just said to her, like, I know that you're going on your own for a little bit, and you've got some financial things you're going to work through, and she's got a hunting trip planned with her boyfriend. Um, and I just said to her, don't be a stranger. Like, you can still ask me questions. I mean, I'm not going to be able to give you like macro sets or training programs or anything like that. But if you're curious about things, or if you have questions, please come to me. Or if you have concerns or things that you're dealing with throughout your day, like message me, and I'm going to try and be that light for you and help. And she was just like, I'm immediately like, I don't
That's
even
amazing.
take my money.
Yeah.
Like, I want to work with you because I see the
So
receptiveness. She's like, I'm not even working with you right now and you're helping me. So that's just, I'm
that
out
means a
here to see
lot.
people succeed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm out here to see people succeed. I always tell people I don't do what I do for the money. I have a full-time job. The money is a benefit because I'm providing a service and it helps me raise my kids and do the things that I want to do. But it's not the
Hmm.
be all of it. I'm not here trying to promote my services to bring in more money. I'm here to promote my services to help individuals, and I'm not going to withhold information from them. Or if there's something I don't know, I'm not going to be like, whatever, I don't know. I'm going to go find the
Go
information
find
for them.
out
I'm
and
going to
get,
talk
yeah,
to other coaches, right?
definitely.
And I
Yeah,
think that's
100%.
where this industry needs more benefit, right? Is coaches sharing information. We're all here for the
Yeah.
greater good of
And
helping
sometimes, yeah,
individuals.
that's when things can get a little sticky and get a little, people start butting heads. And when it comes to, yeah,
Yeah,
taking and, yeah, when sharing information, and like I said, the gym community here is fantastic, but also it's competitive. It
yep.
can be. So, but we, depend, you find the right people and it won't be that bad,
That's
for
exactly what it
sure.
is.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, you want
Well,
people looking out for your best interests.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my circle's definitely gotten tighter. It's it's me and my
Yeah,
snoring dog right now.
Yeah,
I love
No,
it.
I'm just joking.
It's a
Yeah, no,
vulnerable sport.
awesome.
yeah,
Well,
I've got a good group of people around, so
yeah,
it definitely helps.
we all, yeah, we're connected all through the world for sure as well, for the most part.
Hearts for everyone.
Yay! Awesome. Well, thank you, Shelby, so much for coming on. It was like
Thank you for
a,
having me.
a blast and an honor
Yeah, it's
for
super
like
nice meeting you.
spending your time with us before your
I love
leg day.
it.
Yeah,
Well, it's a full
and 2 weeks
body
out,
day, so
or full
yeah,
body.
Oh my gosh.
full body, high volume. So I'm going in for, 20 to 30 chest flies, 20 to 30 shoulder presses. I'm
Good.
pretty sure like 7 sets of pull
You're
downs and lateral raises and things like that. So,
you're
Nice.
2 weeks out though, right? That's like a big,
mhm,
that's like a crazy depletion workout. What do you
all
do?
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
hmm
Whew, whew. No thanks.
You want to, she's trying to get lean over there. She's
Yeah,
trying to get
Yeah.
lean.
Yeah, no, I live for it. I live for it.
yeah.
I'm like, put me in the gym, give me the heavy stuff or give me the painful stuff and I'll do it. It's the cardio and I think the food is the toughest for me because I love food. I can put back a lot of food as as a tiny individual.
Yeah,
And so,
that's where I'm
it's
at.
it's yeah, it's trying to stay strong through that when you've been in a prep for an extended period of time
Yeah.
and when you've dealt with, other stressors in your life. Like, I mean, my cortisol skyrocketed over the last couple weeks because I've had, what have I had done? I got bit by a dog at an Airbnb, so I just have been settling that. Yeah,
Oh,
Wow.
that was fun.
that's not great.
No, it bit my ankle
Jeez.
within the first 3 minutes that I was there. I was just glad it bit me and not my child.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah. So that was fun. That was
Jesus.
last Thursday. Yeah, no, not the one that just happened, but the one before that. So I just got that resolved. And then like drew blood and everything. I had puncture
Oh, it
wounds,
was
so it's great. I had to
like
go get a
pretty.
tetanus shot.
It was a
Yeah, no, I
pretty
had to
big
go get a
one.
tetanus shot.
Was it a bigger dog or a smaller dog?
It was a golden doodle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're
So kind
pretty
of
big.
pretty big dog.
Yeah,
They're pretty
yeah, about a
big. Yeah.
mid-sized dog. Yeah, so got that resolved. Came back, was dealing with that. Um, Unit behind me had their patio furniture stolen, and my dad was telling me to buckle all mine down. And then I
Patio
was like,
furniture.
no. And I was struggling with my sleep, right? So I went for infrared sauna and a cold plunge, and just calmed my CNS and crashed that night. I was like 8:30, closing all my blinds. I was like, I'm going to bed. I'm so excited. Like slept like a log, woke up and opened my blinds and I looked out on my patio and I was like, what's that on the ground? And I was like, zip ties. And then my brain was like, zipped, my patio lights are gone. So I
Oh
take the
no.
police report.
No.
Yeah, because I'm on the ground level unit, right? So somebody stole my patio lights. And then that day, while I was sitting here talking to my mom, I looked out my window and I had another gentleman on my patio cutting this hedge. And I was just like, do I just have communal space now? Just everybody just get to come onto my balcony without coming into my property and asking me, like,
Cutting.
what is happening? Yeah, so I
That's
had that
messed
stress
up.
and yeah, as much as I appreciate sharing my children on and off, it was lovely to not have them last week because it gives me a little bit of quiet time to focus on me and my things. I was supposed to get them back on
Hmm.
Sunday. They're camping with their dad and their stepbrother. So I'll get them back Wednesday. And then it's just the stress of like, I'll have them for a couple days, then they go back to their dad's. And then the week that I
Right.
leave to compete, I have to drive down early. So I only get them for like a day and a half. I mean, they'll be here hanging out with my dog and stuff, and I'll still get to communicate with them, but
Yeah,
I miss
but
that
you'll
time
be
with them, right? So
still very busy too.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's bittersweet. I mean, they're 15, they like their solo time, and when I was going to and from
Hmm.
school, they get the place to themselves, so they're pretty pumped on that. So
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
15 years
So
old, got the house to yourself.
yeah,
Money.
yeah,
yeah.
but very well behaved kids. So I'm fortunate enough where like if I just prep them meals and like lay them all out in the fridge and just say like this is for one night, this is for another night, like you have to explain because boys and 15.
Right. Yeah. We'll eat a
Right?
They'll
lot.
eat
So
it all.
yeah, but explaining like this is one meal and this is one
This is
meal
right.
and this is where I've put the meals like if I make them like ground beef to go with tacos and I cut up other tomatoes and lettuce and stuff and like it's all things that they can do, but I just like mentally for me, I need to know that they're prepared and that multiple meals are made so that my kids are being fed, right? It's just a mom thing.
Yeah, it's the
And
mom.
so
It's a mom thing
yeah,
for
I'll have
sure.
to prep all their meals, all my meals, not for every day. I'm just going to prep for like the drive down to Vancouver and then I'm flying out of Vancouver to go to Pittsburgh because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So I'll need my meals to get down and then my meals for the flight. And then once I get there, I'm just going to buy everything that I need and make it there.
Yeah, that's a good call. It'll be
And
cheaper
one day
that
they'll
way
be
for
prepping
sure.
for you.
Sorry,
I said one day they'll be prepping for you.
we can cross our
Hope
fingers, right?
so.
Yeah, one of them he takes baking and cooking classes, or he was taking them in school, and I'd be like, "Well, you can make me
Yeah.
a meal," and he'd be like, "Yeah, sometime." And then, you try to get them out there doing it. They're
Ah.
more involved. Yeah, they like to be more involved when I bake. And unfortunately, baking is something that I do in my prep to keep myself busy. So the last like 3, 4 nights I've been baking, and then I just freeze it all or I give it away to other people. So I've
Nice. Yeah.
actually got like malted Kit Kat blondies sitting on my
Oh.
oven, waiting to be cut up to
How
Ugh.
do you
people.
how do you do that? Like, you've got one hell of a willpower. I couldn't. You're
I,
crazy. The smell of a
yeah.
cookie cooking, I couldn't.
I
Torture.
mean,
Or
my
maybe it
coach would probably,
keeps you well rounded. No, it
yeah,
keeps you
No,
well rounded because it's
the
not going
smells
anywhere.
don't
It's in
have
your freezer.
calories.
You
You're
can eat it
it's
in two
right.
weeks.
You just
In 2 weeks, you
yeah.
can open up that bag and go for it.
Oh yeah, no, we're waiting the 2 weeks, but I'm the jackass that tries things as I make them, and I'm sure my coach would roll in his grave if he knew that. But I mean, seeing the results I get,
yeah.
uh, I mean, my brain is always like, if I don't get that top spot, that's on me. That's not on anyone else. So
For sure.
Yeah. Hey, hey, at least you know the consequences. That's where it's at.
yeah, yeah, and I mean that to me too.
It's not
Like,
even a
I
bad
mean,
consequence.
no, it is
It's
and
not
it
even a
isn't.
bad one. Right.
Yeah,
It depends on what your
yeah,
goal. It depends on what your goals are. At the
Right.
end of the
Yeah.
day,
yeah.
it's not the end of the world. But you know.
Yeah, when you have the lofty goals, and I think for me, like it was a little bit tougher this go around, like I said, with the prepping for an extended period of time and just being so fatigued and being by myself and working from home. And I've got like this nice big pantry full of my children's snacks. I don't go into their snacks, but I've got baking stuff in there.
Hmm.
So I usually have like my Felicity, the one that you pulled up in that photo. She was who would stay here every time that I was traveling for school, and I just let her stay in my space. I'm like, eat my food, do whatever you need to do, watch my dog. And so we have a good relationship. She's like a sister slash daughter to me, and so she comes and spends quite a bit of time with me. She was over here yesterday, and we were doing baking. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I try to be her mom away from
Yummy.
home because she doesn't have her family in town here. So, yeah,
Good for you. That's
Makes me want to
pretty
bake
good.
some cookies.
yeah, right. Do
Yeah.
it.
Here's my baby.
If anything comes out of this podcast today, it's baking cookies. That's great.
Baking cookies, yeah,
Yeah.
chomp cookies.
We're
Just
gonna
kidding.
yeah. Everyone's gonna be baking cookies after this.
Yeah, but
Oh
yeah,
my
if
gosh,
anybody
they
wants
got
to,
to.
if they want the assistance, just hop on that page and shoot me a message, and we'll get right to it.
Sounds good. Oh, everyone
That's
has their
awesome. That's
cat.
exciting. Oh my God,
Oh, we're
yeah.
doing
Come here,
animals.
Ptolemy.
Okay,
Everyone
let
has
me
their
grab my dog.
kitties.
I have a dog. I don't have a cat.
Oh, the big chompers.
I got this guy.
Yeah, he's coming and looking. Oh, there he is.
Here we go. Oh yay! Look, Ptolemy.
Yeah, this is
Yay.
So many
Bruno.
This is
people.
the
He's like, you just picked me up from my slumber. I'm not happy anymore.
Between
yeah.
instead of between two fences, it's between two ferns, or it's between two cats.
Between two cats. Yeah, he's just like, why did you do that to me?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're all of our cats, well, except for maybe Josh's. Well, actually, no, he's getting you back. He's like, you bitch.
Yeah,
It's right.
there he is.
The
He's
tail.
like, you're gonna
The
pick me
tail.
up and disturb me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so funny. I'm covered in cat
Awesome.
hair. Ugh,
All right, you go train. I
cute.
have to go eat and go to bed.
Sounds good. You
Same.
enjoy that. It's pretty late out there, so you guys
Yep.
take care and have a great rest of your
Awesome.
evening. Thanks for having me
It
on.
was nice meeting
Thank
you.
you. Hey,
Cheers, no problem.
good
Have a good
luck in a
night.
couple weeks. We'll be watching
Sounds good. Thanks so much, guys.
Yes, good luck.
Thanks
I'll be keeping my eye out.
for sure.
Awesome. Take
Cheers.
care.
Awesome. See ya.